10 defenders, but only 5 will survive the upcoming decisions. And I'll reveal to you the kid who has suddenly become more important than the entire team. So today, we're going to analyze the team defensively. We'll take a deep look at the defensive line, who will stay, who will leave, who might go out on loan, and even who won't have their contract renewed. We currently have 10 defensive players to talk about, from young talents to those out on loan. So stay with us. Welcome, my friends, to a new video. Let's begin. One appearance was enough, but in Europe he collapsed. And here we're talking about Javi Espart. At 19 years old, with a contract running until 2028, the reality is that Espart has a very large margin for development. What is happening now is a real test for this young player. In La Liga this season, he was given a full opportunity to start in one match, where he played the full 90 minutes and came away with a high rating of 7.16. However, in the Champions League, the situation is different. He featured in 2 matches as a substitute, for limited minutes that did not exceed 26 in total, which led to his rating dropping to 6.50. In this rotation-based system, the player has shown that he is capable of stepping in for the stars in La Liga with distinction. Nevertheless, in the long term, he needs to raise his level in major European fixtures. As for me, this is a keep decision, because retaining a player who scores above 7 in his first starting appearance is a smart investment. So now the question for you, do you see him securing a permanent starting place in Barcelona's lineup next season? From an untouchable leader to a player who could be sold, and here we're talking about Ronald Araujo. At 27 years old, the truth is that Araujo is going through an uncertain phase. While he should be at his peak, his presence in the starting lineup has become limited. The player has featured in 17 La Liga matches this season, but has only started 7 of them. Although he scored 2 goals in 731 minutes of play, his performance rating remained at 6.75. However, the picture has not changed much in the Champions League, where he started only 4 out of 8 matches, with a rating of 6.57. This decline in minutes and technical reliance means that Araujo has shifted from being the leader of the defence to merely a rotation option in the current system. Within this system, it seems the manager is looking for different attributes that the Uruguayan defender does not currently offer. Therefore, in the long term, keeping a player of his value on the bench will not serve the club's project. For me, based on these figures, this is a sell decision in order to benefit from his market value before it declines further. A Barcelona star shines in the league, then struggles in the Champions League. And here we're talking about Eric Garcia. At 25 years old, with a contract running until 2031, the reality is that the club has invested in him as a strategic asset for the future. The numbers are clear. We are talking about a defender who has started 25 out of 27 matches, with a very high rating of 7.44. However, the gap appears in the Champions League. He featured in 9 matches, but his rating dropped to 6.88. What does this mean? It means the player excels at the pace of La Liga while facing difficulties keeping up with the higher European tempo. In this system, Garcia is the safest option for circulating the ball under pressure. In the long term, this extended contract protects his market value and ensures stability in the position. For me, this is a rotation-only option, with a need to further develop him defensively to match the Champions League level. The cornerstone of Barcelona's defence. No one can replace him. And here, we're talking about Jules Kounde. At 27 years old, with a contract running until 2030, the truth is that Kounde is going through one of the best periods of his career in terms of maturity and readiness. In La Liga, Kounde featured in 25 matches, starting 20 of them, scoring 1 goal and providing 3 assists, with a high rating of 7.27 across 1,903 minutes played. In contrast, his presence in the Champions League has been even more effective and influential. He started all 8 matches played by the team, scoring 2 goals and providing 1 assist, with a rating of 7.16. In this system, he is the defender who gives you tactical flexibility and high quality in building play from the back. In the long term, retaining a player with his technical weight and commitment guarantees defensive stability for years to come. For me, This is unquestionably a keep decision because replacing a player with such a complete profile appears extremely difficult. In your opinion, does Barcelona have a replacement capable of covering Kounde's complex roles during his absence? Barcelona trusts him until 2028, but why doesn't he play? Gaetan Torrance. At just 19 years old, with a contract running until 2028, the reality is that we are looking at a very promising player in development. The player has only had 47 minutes in La Liga across 3 substitute appearances, with an average rating of 6.08. Torrance is still in the process of earning trust in the league, while his true quality appeared in the Copa del Rey. There, he started and played 63 minutes, delivering an eye-catching performance with a rating of 7.69. In this system, Torrance shows a strong ability to adapt to the pressure of knockout matches. In the long term, securing his contract until 2028 reflects the club's confidence in his development. For me, this is a loan decision so that he can develop further. At just 19, he has become more important than all of Barcelona's defenders. And here we're talking about Pau Cubarsi. At 19 years old, with a contract running until 2029, the reality is that Kubarsi displays a level of leadership maturity far beyond his age. In La Liga, Kubarsi played 23 matches, starting all of them, and managed to score 1 goal, with a high-performance rating of 7.20 across 2,016 minutes. However, he did not limit himself to domestic success. He carried this level into the Champions League, starting 8 out of 9 matches and achieving a rating of 7.24. Meanwhile, his total of 700 minutes in Europe reflects the extent of the team's complete reliance on him in the toughest tests. In this system, he is the player who brings calmness in building play and solidity in positioning. In the long term, Kubarsi represents the cornerstone of the club's defensive project. For me, this is a complete departure decision. No, just joking. This is an absolute keep decision with continuous improvement, because building the defense around him is the most logical choice. Barcelona have effectively moved on from him because of something that cannot be fixed. And here we're talking about Andreas Christensen. Andreas Christensen's numbers this season reveal a sharp decline that places him outside Barcelona's core plans. At 29 years old, the reality is that Christensen can no longer provide the required consistency due to his physical condition. In La Liga, the player featured in 12 matches, but only started 3 of them, accumulating just 373 minutes with a rating of 6.90. However, the situation appears even more complicated in the Champions League, where he played 4 matches as a substitute without a single start, totaling only 53 minutes and a low rating of 6.31. The truth is that recurring injuries, along with his current injury, have made him an unavailable option for the manager for most of the season. As a result, he has become a burden on the squad list rather than a defensive solution. In this system, relying on a defender who is constantly at risk of absence represents a significant risk. In the long term, this situation will drain the club's defensive options without real benefit. For me, this is a sell decision, as the team needs a defender who guarantees consistent availability on the pitch. No goals and no noise, yet the manager always relies on him, and here we're talking about Gerard Martin. At 24 years old, the reality is that Martin plays the role of a utility player that any manager needs to ensure squad rotation. In La Liga, Martin featured in 23 matches, starting 17 of them, recording 1,359 minutes played with a performance rating of 7.15. Meanwhile, he maintained this presence in the Champions League, playing 10 matches, 7 of them as a starter, with a rating of 7. However, his attacking numbers remain completely absent, with 0 goals and assists in both competitions. In the long term, having a player with this level of commitment provides essential depth to a competitive squad. For me, this is a keep decision, because the team needs this type of player, those who accept a rotation role and deliver consistent performances. A Barcelona star shines domestically and disappears completely in Europe. And here we're talking about João Cancelo. You are watching a performance that raises questions after just 6 matches this season. In La Liga, he played 4 matches, starting all of them for a total of 346 minutes. He scored 1 goal and provided 1 assist with a rating of 6. However, in the Champions League, he recorded no goals or assists across 2 full matches, totaling 156 minutes, despite a rating of 6.81. At 31 years old, and with his contract currently alone, the reality is that his contribution is inconsistent. In this system, he delivers only at domestic level. For me, this is a do not renew the loan decision. He performs strongly, but disappears when you need him. And here we're talking about Alejandro Balde. At just 22 years old, this player has been catching the eye with Barcelona this season. What is happening? In La Liga this season, he played 21 matches and started 18 of them, scoring 2 goals and providing 7 assists across 1,519 minutes with a rating of 7.20. However, in the Champions League, the situation is different. 7 matches, 6 as a starter, only 520 minutes, no goals, 1 assist, and a rating of 6.79. His statistics reveal a stronger impact in domestic competitions. But we should not forget that the player is currently injured. The reality is that these numbers confirm his value. In this system, he provides clear attacking contributions. In the long term, he can become a key pillar. For me, this is a clear keep decision.